Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Biden is under fire again because of this recent attack in New Orleans. It sparked an explosive debate, and the Democrats, they're pushing back hard.
Domestic terrorism from white supremacists is the most lethal terrorist threat in the homeland. The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
President Biden's longtime claims under new scrutiny in the wake of that horrific New Orleans attack. As critics argue, the president has downplayed the ISIS threat and put an outsized focus on white supremacy concerns. Joining me now, Washington Congressman Adam Smith. Thank you very much, Congressman, for being here this morning.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate the chance.
Thank you. So, sir, throughout his presidency, Biden believed that white supremacy was the greatest threat to the homeland. But 2 months before those last remarks that you just heard, the U.S. intelligence community released its annual threat assessment report. It painted a much different picture. The document mentions Russia 98 times, China 93 times, Iran 46 times, North Korea 25 times. There were 15 mentions of racially motivated violent extremism, but white supremacy was mentioned only once. Did President Biden have his priorities wrong?
No. I mean, that was President Biden's intelligence community that issued that report. Whatever couple of clips you may have picked of what the president said, I think the emphasis of his Justice Department, of his intelligence community, of his Homeland Security Department was always on precisely what that report you just read said it was. It understood the broad threat environment that we face and did its best to try to confront that threat environment.
Well, the FBI told Congress that the suspect in the New Orleans attack, Shamsuddin Jabbar, was not on their radar. They didn't have any intelligence on him. He was not someone that they were watching. Do you believe at all that the president's belief that white supremacy is the greatest threat to the homeland impacted directives that were sent down to federal agencies?
I don't. I mean, look, this was an individual, okay, who had no links, no public links to ISIS. He was radicalized just in the space of the last 9 months, primarily by stuff that had happened in his
9 months is a long time.
Right. So, but he wasn't publishing, didn't join a group. Look, I don't believe this at all. Look, there was a terrorist attack when Trump was president by a radicalized Islamic terrorist in Florida at a military base. Okay, do I believe that Trump wasn't paying attention? No. What I hope this makes clear to the incoming Trump administration is the depth of the threats that we face from a variety of different radical organizations. Again, all outlined in that report that you read from Biden's intelligence services, saying we got threats from a whole bunch of different places, and also the lone wolf attack, which has been talked about a long time, an individual who isn't on anyone's radar. So what we need is we need to support local law enforcement. We need to support the FBI. We need to support the Justice Department to do their level best to try to find as many of these as possible. Understanding, and you've heard this quote before, the terrorists only have to be right once. That's the huge challenge that we face. I hope we'll come together as a country to meet that challenge and not try to turn it into a ridiculous partisan argument based on who's the president. It happened under Trump. It happened under Biden. Let's work together to try to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Well, the attacker's brother told Fox this week that Jabbar joined the military to try to find some direction in life. He spoke to us off camera. Listen to this.
Him being in the military was more trying to find something to set him straight, to ground him. He was looking for some type of guidance to help, in his life.
Both the New Orleans attacker and also the man involved in the Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas had military backgrounds. You're the top Democrat on the Armed Services Committee. Are you concerned at all about a problem with our service members falling prey to radicalization?
I'm concerned with the problem of the radicalization of people in our country in general. I think it has happened to people who did not serve in the military. So I think to sort of paint a broad brush of service members as uniquely vulnerable to this type of thing, I think that's somewhat denigrating to the people who serve in the military. At the same time,
do you believe there are enough services supporting them?
See, that's where I was going next. Just give me a quick second. I don't want people to say, oh, my gosh, the military, it's full of all these people, because I think that's an exaggeration. That's wrong. It's not fair to the military. We do have to do a lot more, I believe, to deal with the mental health issues that people in the military face. PTSD and other issues. A lot of advancements have been made in recent years, a lot of new treatments, certainly, but it is something that we need to emphasize to make sure that service members get our support and help, because, fit the terrorist attack, the number of suicides that are done by people in the military are completely unacceptable and need greater attention.
Guys, as I'm watching this video, we've got obviously two different sides here, right? But the point is, and I think the truth is that Biden hasn't done enough, and that his administration's policies are against our own security. I mean, from the border policy with him leaving our borders wide open to his focus on the military and degrading our own military, and instead sending a ton of support over to other countries instead of building up our own infrastructure. I think all of these policies that Biden has pushed through have left America exposed to these threats. So did things happen under Trump? Yes. Will there always be events like this and lone wolves like this that act on their own? Yes. Can we stop everything? No. But some of it we can stop. And Biden's policies are they're an antithesis to what we're trying to do here, and that we're trying to protect Americans. We're trying to protect our homeland. And I would say Biden is not doing enough to protect the homeland. And this is just another example of his failed leadership.
Terrible issue. Moving on, though, the first FBI spokesperson who addressed the public after this attack gave wrong information about the case. Take a listen to this.
We'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not a terrorist event.
We now know that junior agent, Alethea Duncan, was only speaking because her boss, the special agent in charge of New Orleans, was on vacation. FBI headquarters was so upset, they sent the deputy assistant director from D.C. to take over this. Do you believe that Duncan's statement eroded public trust in investigators? Should she face any consequences for that?
I don't know about that. It was clearly a mistake. And this happens all the time in speculation. Something comes out, people reach conclusions like that. And experienced investigators should know better than that, without question. So I'm not in charge of, discipline within the FBI, but clearly that was a mistake that should not have been made. At
a minimum, should policies be changed to ensure that senior officials are on hand during major events like New Year's Eve, the Sugar Bowl, Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, that is quite possible, and particularly when you have a period of time when you can suspect a threat. Absolutely.
Do you believe that the federal government's doing enough to secure large-scale events that are coming up, like inauguration? Trump also plans to hold a rally in D.C. the night before inauguration. Is there sufficient security for that?
Yeah, I believe there will be sufficient security. We see it going up all the way around here already. But look, it's a huge challenge, and I think we need to take it very seriously, because regrettably, we live in a time when people are radicalized by a wide variety of different things. And also, as the threat assessment that you read earlier, Russia in particular has really stepped up their hybrid attacks in a variety of different places across the country. So, yeah, we need a heightened level of security for all of these events.
The new Congress has been sworn in. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries made some headlines with this. Take a listen.
It's okay. There are no election deniers on our side of the aisle.
But in 2018, Jeffries wrote, "The more we learn about 2016 election, the more illegitimate it becomes. America deserves to know whether we have a fake president in the Oval Office." And then he doubled down in 2020. He posted to Trump, "Keep pouting. History will never accept you as a legitimate president." What changed?
Well, I think a lot of Democrats made mistakes in terms of complaining about the 2016 election. I remember vividly, I was on this network like a month after, and this issue came up. I said, he won the election. Let's get over it and stop talking about it. There's a lot of people in a lot of different places. I do find it interesting that Fox News is only concerned about Democratic election deniers. It seems like the Republicans took that whole thing a little bit more seriously in terms of storming the Capitol, in terms of doing all kinds of efforts to actually stop the election, as opposed to just issuing a couple of comments. So, yeah, people will get emotional about elections. Nobody should try to stop an election from being certified. In fact, tomorrow, snow willing, we will be certifying President Trump's election. You will not see Democrats stand up and protest that. You will certainly not see them storm the United States Capitol to try and stop that certification. We accept the election of President Trump, and we will do our best to work with him going forward.
Well, I would argue that this network covered all sorts of election deniers across the spectrum. But do you expect any of your colleagues to put up any challenges tomorrow when the election is certified?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of us. I don't think so. But gosh, go back to 2000 and I think 2016, there was, I think, one House member, Democrat, who, protested the election then. Didn't have a senator, so it didn't go anywhere. But there's a lot of us, but I can tell you 99% of Democrats, this is the way the election went out, and we're going to go work with the new government.
Finally, with just 30 seconds left, the speaker held onto the gavel, but it did take some muscle from Trump.
Yeah.
How are Democrats going to work with the incoming administration to make sure that bills get passed and government functions?
Yeah, it's going to be hard. And look, the biggest challenge is going to be on the budget reconciliation process. House Republicans are meeting this weekend to try to figure that out. Promising to cut taxes, not cut spending, balance, it's going to be tough, but we'll work with them.
Congressman Adam Smith, thank you very much.
There's a big difference here. And I also want to say, guys, I appreciate everyone for leaving a like on the video, supporting the channel, and subscribing. But the big issue and big difference between this election that just happened and the election 4 years ago is the amount of scrutiny around the integrity of the election. So it's not fair to compare the two, because the Republicans hired a ton of people to be watching. Everyone was looking for it. I mean, we were seeing very small things. We were catching very small things. Everything was reported this time around. We had X this time around in its newest form under Elon Musk. And so reporting scrutiny was at an all-time high for this most recent election. And that's why I think that it's completely different than the election that happened 4 years ago, where there wasn't near as much scrutiny and where bad actors could make a difference. We're still finding out. We're still learning about things that happened during the election 4 years ago that very well could have shifted the outcome. So, was the election stolen? Yeah, I don't know. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think on the election 4 years ago. Here's what I know. I'm a lot more confident in the results this year, not just because I'm Republican, not just because I'm conservative, but because people were watching for it. People were looking for it. Money had been invested to make sure that there was integrity around our election. So that's why I feel like this election was more fair than the previous election. Was the because manipulation did happen, guys. Manipulation always happens. You cannot sit in a dark closet and say the manipulation on the U.S. election does not occur. It does. There is always going to be people trying to make an unfair outcome. But here's the thing. This is so important. Conservatives emphasize this. This is so important. We have to have transparency. We have to have accountability in our election system. What I would love to see is I would love to see this Doge committee under Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy get in there and figure out a 100% safe, secure way of voting using the technology that we have today. You can't tell me that we don't have the technology today to build a system that ensures. I mean, look at what they've done with Bitcoin, with all these cryptocurrencies. That's beautiful technology. If they could do something like that, take this blockchain technology to some extent, tokenize it, and allow people to vote in a completely fair way, that would be huge. And it's something that it's insane that we haven't developed it yet, but we have the ability. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Anyway, hey guys, I want to say I make a video like this every day. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, join the community. We do a live show as well. It's called The Difference, and it happens every weekday at 5 p.m. Central. So tune in for that. But leave a like, subscribe, guys, and hit me down in the comments. Let me know what you think about everything that's going on, from Biden's leadership to the election integrity concerns that people are talking about as they try to certify the election tomorrow weather permitting, we're going to see what happens. All right, guys, y'all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Y'all take it easy and peace.